The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Hawaii Money Resource with financial advisor Marko Muskovic.
Marko Muskovic is registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities LLC, 7 Hanover Square, New York, 10004, and at Wealth Strategy Partners, 677 Ala Moana Boulevard, Suite 720, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. This show is for informational purposes only. Individual risk tolerance and investment objectives must be reviewed prior to making any specific recommendations.
And now your host, Marko Muskovic.
Welcome back. You're listening to Hawaii Money Resource. My name is Marko Muskovic, Senior Partner at Wealth Strategy Partners, also Certified Exit Planner. You are listening to Hawaii Money Resource every single day, Monday to Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. Hawaii Money Resource online, hawaiimoneyresource.com, hawaiimoneyresource.com. So in case you missed the show, do not worry because you can download the podcast shortly after our show is there and pretty much listen over and over while you learn all the secrets of our guests. And what we do, we bring the guests in our show and we try to pick their brain for 1 hour. We try to live through their experiences because they're running the business, and running the business is not easy, so we need every single information possible, and that's why we're bringing the guest. When we do not have a guest, what we talk about is a business and business planning and how you can grow that business so you can one point in the future sell it or transfer it. HawaiiMoneyResource.com also is a good place for you to see the pictures, download the podcast, read about business exit planning, and talk to us. Pretty much you can contact us. If you have a question, if your business owner is stuck, you don't know where to go, what to do, give me a call and I'll be more than happy to talk to you. So let's talk to our guest today. Michael Houar, welcome to Hawaii Money Resource.
Hi there, aloha. How you doing?
Michael is a general manager for Tropical Wholesale, right? And Michael, why don't you give me 30 seconds introduction? What do you guys do?
We're predominantly a vinyl window installer as well as vinyl siding. We're best known way back in the day for the Vinyl is Final, my grandfather and Bud Chastain. Bud was a speech professor at UH and decided that he needed a part-time job. So he all of a sudden got involved in the vinyl siding business. As it progressed, my father got involved and opened up the first vinyl window factory in '83 and manufactured vinyl windows until about '94 when he realized it just wasn't cost effective due to the space and logistics to really make a product such as vinyl windows in Hawaii. And that was pretty much the bottom line with that.
Perfect. So you guys are doing like, as what I'm picking, like vinyl, siding, windows, kitchen, solar, roofing, remodeling, repairs.
Yeah, we do all those things. We are a general contractor, but we like to specialize. And because our roots were from vinyl siding and then to vinyl windows.
That's our forte.
That's our forte. We do a lot of roofing as well.
Perfect. We're going to learn about all this in a little bit. But usually in the beginning, because, you know, when people are talking to the business owners, and when we say business owner, people think, wow, something big. But business owners are generally just a human like everybody else. It's just that they have a little bit more addiction to responsibilities. So tell me a little bit about yourself personally. What do you do for fun, and how do you balance your, you know, you're pretty much running the show.
Oh, yeah. I am part owner, and a lot of people don't understand it's not what you think.
Right.
For me, you're responsible on another level. You have to be level-headed and clear-headed. So I actually practice a lot of yoga at Core Power over at Kahala, and balance is key to everything. I put in my hour there, and it wakes me up, makes me very clear-headed. As far as my personal life, it's something that I take to a very different approach. I'm single right now, but as it goes, I've seen a lot of marriages or relationships kind of mess with businesses over the years, and they can mess with you personally.
That's true.
Which there's an accountability to your employees to make sure that they have jobs to provide for their families. Many of the employees that work for my father and myself have been around, like Key, 27 years, and Richie, 30 years, you know, old-time employees like that. So
definitely personal life affects your business life, regardless
yeah.
what you do and how you do it.
Well, I mean, basically the deal is it's the whole love yourself. You go ahead, you take care of yourself. You want to make sure you get your meals, wake up early, make sure you get good sleep. Know what's on your schedule. Know when you can take time off, though. Schedule time off. I know it's kind of hard, and a lot of people don't live by that. But if you schedule it and you can really turn it off and say, I'm there for that, you can enjoy it that much more.
So I want to ask you how you do it, because, it's easy to say this is what you should do, and you're probably doing it. But it's still, when it comes to the moment that you need to flip and kind of switch off and says, well, now I'm not there, I'm not doing the business and job. But guess what? The residual is still here. You're still thinking because the job just happening, or maybe there's some questions, concerns, some problems. It's not that hard just to flip that. You cannot take the business brain out and put it away physically and put the personal brain in.
I actually have a rare luxury by being in a family business, since my father and probably the biggest mentor in my life is like switch hitting and pinch hitting for me like Babe Ruth. That's what it's like bringing him in. He knows everything and more than I know probably currently. But at the same time, I'm not afraid, because he jumps in and I jump out kind of thing. And
so it's a sort of safety net.
Oh, yeah, it's real nice in that way. And the trust. Trust is very big, and it's accountability. A lot of times I go by the saying, never trust somebody necessarily to not be lazy. Even if they work for you, you have to realize that they probably do the same job 364 a year, minus holidays and weekends. But that can become monotonous, and they have their own personal life and things that they're going through. And you have to work with your employees, be involved, and know where each one of them are at. And that's really the key to going ahead and finding lasting employees.
So you find the employees not so you can go home and sleep all the time. You find them so you can do something that can bring more value to that business.
Oh, yeah, grow it, definitely. That's key to getting more business. I mean, people, when they see your employees, that's the next impression of you that they get, especially in a service industry. I mean, our employees are in people's homes. There's a lot of, personal stuff in a person's home.
Contacts.
Yeah, and so you want to make sure that you give them that level of respect and that they feel comfortable and safe with you.
Do you play any other sports or do anything else for fun other than core power yoga?
Not right now, but I actually was a Crusader. I played for Cal Lee back when Timmy was there, and kind of right after. I went on and progressed and played a year at University of Miami. I was a kicker. I was there when we won the Orange Bowl against Florida State. Actually, my buddy Greg Olson, he's going to be playing in the Super Bowl. He was on my team. And, I mean, I like Peyton Manning, but I'm rooting for Greg because I played with him.
Okay, that's okay. Hopefully people are not going to take that offensively. Anyway, we're going to talk more about the business in a little bit. I just want to ask you one more question, and I know it kind of interacts with the business part, but being in a family business, and especially third generation, does that put extra pressure on you?
Oh, it certainly does, and I think everybody would appreciate that I know the statistic on this. The third generation only has a 20% success rate of actually moving on and being successful. And I've seen it over the years. I've seen it with friends that I've gone to school with where their kids just weren't interested in their parents' business, and yet it was successful. They've went on to get degrees in other things. Some of them are successful in other areas. But sometimes following in somebody's footsteps is hard, because it's hard when you have to get beyond that personal relationship and get down to the business level of you can't take it personal. You can't take it personal, especially when it was coming from my father, that he's saying this because he's trying to upset me. He's saying this because it needs to get done. And vice versa. These days, I relate back even though sometimes you don't face the easiest things in business, you just have to say, what's going on and address the situation.
So it looks like you did the research on this topic.
Oh, yeah. Personally, I like to know where I'm going, and I try to be well-informed.
And then it's like how much you can get prepared for that, right? When you are kind of anchor on your own, and or you anchor off, like you're on your own. Now, dad is completely retired, grandpa is gone, now it's me.
Oh, yeah. No, that transition will definitely be interesting. Basically, you just have to make sure you have your ducks in a line. It's very much like a team sport, and I think that people underestimate the value of team sports in that way, of teaching you to work with other people. Not even necessarily just your other players like your employees, but the referees, the people who regulate the game. You can't go off at them. You can't, talk too harshly, because they will remember. You get much further with a carrot than you do a stick.
Perfect. I appreciate you sharing all this stuff. Today's guest is Michael Houar. Michael is general manager, third generation business, tropical wholesale. People can find you. What is the website?
TWOwahoo.com. It's a shortened one of tropicalwholesaleonline.com. Mm-hmm. And that's where you can find us. Perfect.
My name is Marko Mijushkovic. We're going to take a quick break. Once we come back from the break, we're going to go down the memory lane and see how this all started. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
There is freedom within. There is freedom without. Try to catch the deluge in a paper cup.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
Traffic is still light and moving fine from windward Oahu and from the east side. It's slow on the west side from the Kualaka'i Parkway exit to the Waimalu Pearl Ridge on-ramp. If you're heading in from Kapolei on Farrington, expect it to be slow from Kualaka'i Parkway to Old Fort Weaver Road. Fort Weaver looks good this morning from Eva Beach up to the freeway on-ramp. We have no accidents from east Oahu or on the Palilike or the H3.
So we had this break-in on our block, and that triggered my mama bear instincts. I work full-time, so I'm not home when my kids get home. Sometimes I'm not even home before dinner. So it got me thinking, what if that was my home? I had to take action to protect my family. We started researching home security systems, and the clear winner was Vivint. Best price, best technology, super easy to use. It's a fully monitored security system, but I love their video technology most. I can actually see what's going on in my home right from my smartphone, tablet, or computer. I check it before my kids get home, then again around 4 so I know they got home safely. I can even lock the doors remotely if they forget. Vivint keeps me in control of my family's safety, even when I can't be home.
Take control of your family's safety with Vivint. Order now for up to $1,300 in security equipment at no charge. Just pay as little as $99 for activation. Plus, call now and installation is free. Call 800-569-0364. 800-569-0364. 800-569-0364.
I'm Marko Mijushkovic, a partner at Wealth Strategy Partners, one of the region's fastest growing financial services companies. I have a BA, MBA, MSIS, and CXP, but what you come to me for are numbers. I help make your numbers better. Investment numbers, tax numbers, retirement numbers. So let's start with a few important numbers. The first number is 0. That's what it costs to listen to Hawaii Money Resource, my daily radio show. Next number is 7:60 a.m. Last is 5 when my show starts, Monday through Friday night. It all adds up to 60 very profitable minutes.
Registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAS, OSJ 7 Hanover Square, New York, New York, 10004, 1-888-600-4667. Securities products and advisory services offered through PAS member FINRA SIPC, financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is an indirect wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Wealth Strategy Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. 2014-16224, expiration 1/2017.
How would you like to work in the world of finance? Wealth Strategy Partners is considering smart, motivated financial associates. You will have the potential to earn competitive earnings while providing a necessary service to the community. Furthermore, when you join Wealth Strategy Partners, you will be eligible to receive a full benefits package, including insurance, a pension plan, and more. If you enjoy working with people and have an interest in making a difference in people's lives, contact Wealth Strategy Partners, 695-2102. That's 695-2102. Make the call that could change your life. 695-2102. Join Wealth Strategy Partners. 695-2102.
Registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, abbreviated PAS, 7 Hanover Square, New York, New York, 10004. Securities products or services and advisory services are offered through PAS, a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor. 888-600-4667. PAS is a member of FINRA SIPC.
You're listening to Hawaii Money Resource with financial advisor Marko Mijushkovic. If you'd like to speak to Marko, either on the air or after the show, call toll-free from Oahu and the outer islands, 877-695-2102. That's 877-695-2102.
Welcome back. You're listening to Hawaii Money Resource. My name is Marko Miushkovic, senior partner at Wealth Strategy Partners. Don't forget to check us online. You can pretty much stream live every day whenever you are free to do it. HawaiiMoneyResource.com, HawaiiMoneyResource.com. Don't forget, there's much more stuff that you can learn on our website, so make sure that you go online and visit it and check it out. 695-2102, 695-2102. Today we have a guest. I like guests. When we bring the guests, I like when we having a multi-generational business. Why? Because Hawaii is a family business, but there is not so many businesses that we had so far that is actually third or fourth generation. And today we do have a guest, Mike Houar. Mike is a third generation for Tropical Wholesale. Mike, let's see how this all started. Just give me the history of the family business.
Well, my grandfather kind of came through here on the war, and he just said it was the most beautiful place he ever saw. So when it was over, he came back. And my dad and his brother and his sister were all living in actually Northern California, and basically called him up and said, hey, we got to, come over here. Everybody packed bags. And basically that's what happened. Later on, it just kind of progressed where he decided he needed to go into something to make some money, and he decided to go into contracting. Oddly enough, after he was out of contracting, once my dad kind of took over and took a firm hold, he's also known as writing some of the first pawn laws in Hawaii. He owned pawn shops in Hawaii, as well as Bud, kind of in his retirement as well, too. He actually opened up the restaurant Chastine's down in the Hilton Hawaiian Village. We're actually going to do a throwback commercial probably with Bud when he comes back, and he visits my dad still. Unfortunately, my grandfather's passed away. But
well, how long ago was when the grandpa started the business?
Oh, 62 is when he was in the industry. He started his own a little bit later on, as far as with Bud and everything. It took a minute because a lot of times you work with something first, and then you realize the potential of what you can do with it, and maybe who you're working with isn't marketing it to its full potential. And that's really when Bud and him teamed up.
And Bud is the guy from UH.
Yeah, he was a speech professor.
You can maybe repeat that because maybe someone missed that part.
Yeah, Bud Chastain, vinyl is final was his big slogan, and he was the face for the company. It was a commercial. He had the red beard. It was kind of like the Lex Brody's commercial way back, so he was very identifiable here locally in Hawaii. And from there, they went ahead and started, and it was the only vinyl siding, and that was the first product, and that's really all they focused on. They did some other construction here and there, but vinyl, when you go ahead and you're focusing on a product like that, if it's a good market, you want to stay after it. If the market changes, you do have to be adaptable, and sometimes that's why it's good to have multiple products in case something goes up or down. But in general, the remodel business is pretty good here in Hawaii. You have to be accountable to your customers. Later on, though, my father went ahead and he expanded the business. He took it to a whole nother level when he really expanded very hard into vinyl windows. We were actually the original Tropical Roofing, but we dropped that trade name. My dad had separate businesses that were LLCs, and when he incorporated and brought it all to one finally, he dropped Tropical Roofing and Rain Gutters. We still do a fair amount of roofing. Kind of a project that not a lot of people know about that we're responsible for is the first section of Gentry that's metal roofing. My dad actually sold the material to Gentry himself when he was still alive. It was the last section he really did when he purchased it. He found that roof when over on Kauai we went ahead and installed quite a few roofs before the hurricane. They stayed on because we used the longer screws instead of the shorter screws.
Wow.
And
there you go.
But my dad expanded to the height of the company, 68 employees, outlets on every outer island at one point except for Molokai and Niihau, of course. Yeah. Now,
what do you think, from just being on family dinners, why do you think your dad took over? And continued?
It's kind of like, for me, this is kind of like what we were bred for. This is what we do. It's just a family thing. My sister works in the construction industry. She's interior design. She worked with my dad for a while, and so did my brother. Both of them ended up moving away. She ends up working for a stone company in San Francisco, very successful and go-getting woman. And my brother as well, too. Now he works in pharmaceutical sales, but he got married over there and kind of just didn't come back.
he got trapped there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess it's just being around the business, being around the multi-generational business, it's kind of like you don't know anything else.
Oh.
Even though you have like a degrees and you went in education, you personally, but then for your dad.
Oh, I mean, my dad was in UH and went ahead and simultaneously, actually, my uncles worked in the company as well, too. He works up in California and with solar, actually, now. Mm-hmm. He has the 4th largest microarray, actually, that's been built, last I heard, and for farmers. He started here because the solar boom was here in Hawaii. And then he went ahead and took it to another level over there when he did the right person kind of here.
So it looks like the whole family is just a bunch of entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you look at a business, you can take a business from a small ticket to a large ticket item. You have to factor in insurance, liabilities, all these different things. And real entrepreneurs wear many hats in a company. It's like me. I mostly deal with the website, some of this type of stuff, the public image a little bit. My dad is very good at the nuts and bolts of accounting and bookwork. We do have an accountant, but he checks everything over, of course. Not that they don't do a good job.
Checks and balances.
Oh, yeah. You want to make sure you're looking at everything. And that's, the devil's in the details. That's one of his favorite sayings.
Devil's in the details. Okay, that's good. Good.
And so organization, even with files and everything like that, you never really want to throw anything away. You want to make sure you have copies and that it's organized as best you can. Just all these things you'll find will make things easier if they're done and put in the right place, from the beginning.
So do it right first time.
Oh, yeah. And it was instilled in me since I was younger because he had me go out on the jobs after I came back from college and install Windows, so you know the time frame of how long it takes for things to be done. You understand what's entailed, and you relate to the guys out on the job and see what's going on and how they are. I like to say that we work with our employees and not so much that they work for us kind of thing.
It's like a teamwork.
Oh, yeah, and many of them been around a long time. I mean, we don't have a lot of turnover in our company because if you treat your guys right and you give them the respect, they'll work that much harder for you and the job will come out that much better,
So how this all started for you?
This all started for me probably when I was about 6 years old. After soccer practice, my dad, said, hey, I got to run this appointment. Do you want to come in and watch me do what I got to do, or do you want to stay outside and, wait for me in the car? And so I said, hey, they probably serving juice or something in there, or they'll probably give me a juice. So
I'm thirsty. I want to go in.
Yeah. So I would just watch him and the way he related to people, and I didn't realize how much I learned because I started watching bids, and I was very good at math. And so it kind of caught on. Then when I was about 8, 9, he started, we were always remodeling the house or doing something because it's what we do. It was hands-on training then, but no saws or anything like that. Then probably around 16, it was in summers when in between football and, we had practice during the summers a lot of times. But if I wasn't playing sports, you had to earn your allowance in my family. You got it, but you had to earn it.
Smart.
Yeah.
What that creates for you, like not so many people out there, like why, we were just talking to one of the advisors that I'm working with, the other day, and we're talking about the generational business, and we were talking about why second or third generation does not want to continue with the business or just don't do the good job running their family business. And we kind of talk about, well, they don't need to. They have money, right? They don't have they're not hungry. They don't need to do the things. So that's why they're usually kind of taking it easy. They're getting the allowances. They're going to get their business anyway. The money is coming in a mail. Oh, great. Another check that I didn't work hard for it. So
I was very fortunate that my dad always believed in education, and I went to good schools and everything. But the bottom line is it's not very often that you have an opportunity to make an impact on the world like this. And to me, the people and the customers and the market that's out there, the local market here is very personal to me, because a lot of times people don't realize it, and how the island mentality is sometimes back in the day there was only one guy who did something on the island. And he could gouge if he wanted to try to charge too much, but that wouldn't be good for the rest of the island. And he wouldn't do that because all of his friends wouldn't like him. So honest business, when you're in a family business in that way, is kind of instilled in you, especially in a local community. A lot of the people I go around and I see their aunties and uncles, sisters and brothers, you know? And there's more value to that when you can hold your head high in that way, and you're doing something good for the value of not only for your business and making money, but your employees. We do give back to a lot of local charities. Camp Hawaii we normally support, surf rider sessions. We do some work with the Salvation Army. We rebuilt the Robert Louis Stevenson shack that they took from the beach and put back by the Wiley Tea Room. And, you know, you give back. The one rule that we have is that we give back to Hawaii because, you know, we're so far away. It's 2,500 miles away from the US.
That's true. And then you mentioned earlier, like when we were talking about you said you know statistics and all that, and you saw the other, you know, friends that were, you know, parents were doing the business, but they just ventured to something else.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, sometimes it's just not for people. And not that some of those people, they ended up being very successful. I mean, they end up getting degrees in engineering, or a lot of times they'll take it a step further. Like for me, I was originally in architecture school and I was at Miami playing football, but I didn't have enough time to dedicate towards it. And so even then, this is a calling back that way, but I was looking to make a next step and kind of try to raise the bar of using what I already had and being comfortable with that and moving forward.
When did you decide that, and why? When did you decide that you want to come back and get engaged, get involved, and eventually take over?
I look at it as like, you know, my dad was the guy who was always there. He coached me in soccer. He was a great dad. I never looked at it like I was living in his shadow. I looked at it very much like how he was, that it's not an obligation, but it was looked at as in a very positive light. If possibly I could take something, maintain it would be something entirely on its own, but to go ahead and maybe one day take it a step further if I could, which raising the bar high sometimes, you know.
Well, yeah, and especially because you have like someone who did so much over the number of years, and the shoes are pretty large to be filled, right?
Oh yeah. It's very interesting. I can say in Hawaii, logistics are a big thing, and that's one thing that he's really taught me, especially in a specialized custom product, because of single wall construction here in Hawaii is a lot of what we work on. And so you have to be really on it down to, you're talking a half an inch or a 1/16 of an inch on measurements, and that many numbers being transposed. And then the fact of furniture guys will tell you this, the fact that sometimes it shows up even though that it's wrong, and you have to find out, you know,
solution.
Well, later on that something's wrong, and so you got to go back to the customer and relate to them. And luckily, you know, people in Hawaii are pretty. Oh yeah, I mean, they're great. We're lucky to have, you know, the sunshine and everything so bright here all the time.
Well, the pressure is on. Statistics are against third generation. You still have time to groom yourself, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's not that you're gonna be starting tomorrow on your own and do not have any mentorship or any backup. Mentorship is a big thing right now. You know, you're learning from the man himself, your father, who is running the business. Do you guys reach out to anybody else for support, help, mentorship, and just partnering?
If I need help, I look at the men in business that I see that have a consistent track record and who they do business why and with. But I would say my grandfather definitely was. My Uncle Mike is off and running and really doing a lot. He was actually just visiting here a couple days ago, but headed over to Maui. But he's constantly in the solar world, and so I ask him if something's needed. My brother and sister are very successful too and very knowledgeable. Even them I can count on and just get their opinion without being judged. But there is actually there's a sculpt teacher at Core Power, Eric. He does the advertising for Aloha Kia and D.H. Horton. And I actually will ask him about different things like that. And even before I came on this show, because he does PR, I asked him,
what do you think about that?
Yeah, take me through, PR 101.
There you go. Well, you mentioned one very important keyword while you were just saying without being judged.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time people, because they're afraid of what the other people is going to say, so that's why people don't ask questions, because they're afraid to be judged.
Well, you got to take and you got to understand who you're putting your trust in. And that's something that I think I developed because I work with a lot of older people. My market isn't the, teenager or even the 20 and 30-year-old a lot of time.
Right.
Normally it's 35, and I hate to say it, most of the time it's 50 to 80. And so when you talk with people that have been through life like that, and you have to get down on a real level where they're willing to trust you to do something on their home that personal, you have to be that real. So I think that's helped me judge character and, what people might have to offer with the different value of what they say.
Perfect. Today's guest, Michael Houar. Michael is the general manager for Tropical Wholesale, twoahu.com website, so you can find a little bit more about them. We're going to come back after the quick break. My name is Marko Miushkovic. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
.760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
Traffic is still light and moving fine from Windward, Oahu, and from the east side. It's slow on the west side from the Kualaka'i Parkway exit to the Waimalu Pearl Ridge on-ramp. If you're heading in from Kapolei on Farrington, expect it to be slow from Kualaka'i Parkway to Old Fort Weaver Road. Fort Weaver looks good this morning from Eva Beach up to the freeway on-ramp. We have no accidents from east Oahu or on the Pali, the Like or the H3.
People put a lot of thought into going into business, but not so much into how they'll get out, which makes it easy to get stuck. That's why Marko Miushkovic handpicks a team of lawyers, accountants, tax, and industry specialists to help you make your business exit plan. You get yourself into business, Marko will help you get out.
Registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAS, OSJ 7 Hanover Square, New York, New York, 10004, 1-888-600-4667. Securities, products, and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA, SIPC, financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Guardian, New York, New York, PAS is an indirect wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Wealth Strategy Partners, LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. 2015-09890.
You're listening to Hawaii Money Resource with financial advisor Marko Miushkovic. If you'd like to speak to Marko, either on the air or after the show, call toll-free from Oahu and the outer islands, 877-695-2102. That's 877-695-2102.
Okay, welcome back. We were talking about all kind of stuff over here. I guess today's guest is heavily in the sports too. We're a former football player, rugby player, and soccer player. Today's guest is Michael Houar. Michael is the general manager for Tropical Wholesale. Mike, I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your generational business, about your family, how they started, grandpa and then dad, continue still running it, and you are slowly grooming yourself with the help of your family to take over one day. So let's talk about your business as is today. Mm-hmm. How is it structured?
It's structured basically, of course, my dad's at the top. I would actually be next in line. He mostly does the major construction or building estimates and everything, anything commercial that we get or anything like that. We focus on residential primarily, though. It's me, and then we have three really knowledgeable foremen. Alan Bowles, he's actually holds a general contracting license himself. Richard Feeney, he holds another general contracting license. I think he put his on ice, though, because he's just older. He's worked with us for 33 years. And then Key Lee is another guy that we work closely with. We have some young hopefuls. Ron is doing real well out on the field, and those are pretty much our go-to guys right now. From there, anything else filters down of what we need.
And running the see, I always ask this question because it's like every time you're in a industry like yours, you have a trade, what you're good at, and then you have a business. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like two things, right? So you're good in your trade, but then how do you make yourself also good in something that you didn't learn from experience or you didn't go to school for, and that is how to run successful business?
Work ethic, and never think that you know it all. Be willing to listen and see who is doing what around you that is working, and look at why. Don't look at just the noise of what's going on and the reaction, but look at what caused that reaction and how. And that's marketing 101. I mean, basically, you can go down to even how people sound, color, all these different things have influences on people, how you come across, body language, speaking, all these different things are attributes that are valuable to any entrepreneur. They're more towards the marketing side, but when you can start to wear a lot of hats in a company, it eliminates miscommunication.
And you're right. You mentioned like you need to be a CEO, CFO, marketing. You need to be a project manager. You need to be a HR person. You need to also be someone who makes sure that people are okay and motivated to work. So you need to be a cheerleader. You need to also cook coffee, and you know what I mean, like.
Well, we leave the coffee to the other guys.
I know, but I'm just like trying to say like how many hats you need to wear in a business. And
oh yeah, and you know what it is it stems from sometimes just getting the job done. When I do a job, I follow through every step of the way. So when somebody goes ahead, a lot of times when there's a lead or somebody who's interested that comes in, we're the first touch that they get. And then the same when we go out there to the home. And that way there's a consistency. There's not multi-layered of who's talking to who or who said what.
Overlapping too.
Yeah. And then from there, we go ahead and we make sure that I personally contract jobs. And that's mainly what my dad does too. He wears a few more hats, more in the accounting and bookkeeping area and filing and all this stuff. But that's mainly what we do. And so when you go out there and the people have assurances that you said this, and they can call you and they can ask you, this is how it was, and you can be like, yes, or I'll get back to you, in an hour. Sometimes you're busy and it takes a day or something, but the main thing is you always answer your phone and you get back to the person and not make them feel like they're not important.
Perfect. So when you started, like when you, let's say, go back in the days when you originally started versus where the business is right now, what do you say it's a main difference, and what is it still the same?
The main difference is, I would say that with all the new building that's going on in Hawaii, there's been much more of an emphasis on new construction going on around us. And so as that's been going on, people have been comparing their older homes to the newer homes, and a lot of them want to try to go ahead and make them look like that. There's been some resistance with changing from jealousies to vinyl windows, purely for the simple fact that, you get 100% ventilation from a jealousy, and most other windows you just aren't going to get that. There are some certain types, but it gets into measurements and spans and technical stuff, It's mostly going ahead and marketing your product to those people and making sure that they know what your product is and the advantages versus the other disadvantages of what they had. And the truth of the matter is jealousies were a great window, but they're just plain not as secure. They don't have locks. And, with the world going the way that it is, it's not like the 60s where my grandfather's contracts, a lot of the first ones were on handshakes, because that was the way of doing business, and people were very honest and forthright,
And what will be the same now in running the business versus back in the days when you started?
Whew. I mean, it's been a long ride. To be honest, I don't really look at it like where I was and where I'm going. I look at it like this is where I am now. Focus on that. And be open, or actually even in yoga they say aware. And awareness, somebody, I think they really should take it down to as simple as being comfortable in your surroundings and knowing your environment. So a lot of times people have emotions or personal issues in their life that go ahead and take them out of everything. And they become less aware of what's going on. They don't know what's going on with their workers. They don't know what's going on with their customers.
They lose the touch.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on with the market. And then all of a sudden, then the business will start to go downhill if that happens. And everything shows up. It shows up in numbers. It just takes a little bit more time oftentimes.
So what you're trying to say is be aware.
Oh yeah, be aware. Be aware where you're at and what's going on, but don't be afraid to pivot and move if you have to. You look at singers like Madonna; she had to adapt over the different times, and that's what you have to do. You have to be adaptable.
So in your business right now, why you versus someone in competition?
Oh, if somebody could come work for us that would do what I do for my dad, I'm sure he would actually hire him, believe it or not. But there's a lot of level of trust between me and him, but he just... I don't think
what I'm trying to ask is, why should people come to you guys for business versus going towards the competition?
Because they'll get an honest, fair deal for the kala or money. Kala is Hawaiian for money, for what they pay for. And that accountability of being here, especially him for 41 years, and being able to say, I can go around the island and you'll see people give me a hug and a kiss, from musicians, doctors, lawyers, engineers, people in government or ex-military of rank and stuff. I mean, we've worked for Castle and Cook, Lanai Company. I've done projects like Kapa'a Shores. I believe that was more my uncle's one, but Kapa'a Shores over on Kauai. And you can go around this island, and I'll tell you what, I tell customers all the time, you can't go more than about a quarter to a half a mile without running into a job that my dad, grandfather, or uncle's done.
Well, so that means there's a pretty big resume.
Oh, yeah, and it's nice. It's nice to have that security, but at the same time, there is a lot of pressure of you don't want to be the generation to drop the ball. I will say I do have a little backup in my sister and brother. I'm sure if things ever, if I need... rough. Oh, yeah, and it'd be as simple as, hey, I need you for a bit, and I'm sure they would adjust.
And what is it that you want to bring to the table? What is it that you bring in your generation, the third generation? What is your generation bringing to the table?
Oh, I'm bringing the legs, because my dad, as he's getting older in his years, and he tells me this all the time, Mike, as my age progresses, you need to be more my legs, and you need to go out there and get it, and you need to make sure that your level is rising at the same rate as that is. And, I'm happy. I want to see my dad golf more. He golfs a little bit more than I'm working with him. It takes some pressure off of him. But what I really bring is also a different perspective to technology, handling that area, as well as you see a lot of these reviews or different sites like that, understanding and handling and addressing that. We are opening actually a new showroom, 1351 South Beretania Street. We're laying the tile right now. So I'll be in there probably quite a bit, and I imagine my father will, but hopefully he'll be able to golf a little bit more.
So you mentioned technology as very, like, nobody can run the business today. It doesn't matter what the industry, you need a technology.
Oh yeah, I mean you can't ignore it. I mean, people and your phone. The phone is becoming, instead of a TV remote, your phone is becoming the remote for everything in life. In fact, Apple TV, I believe you can make it a remote, or Roku,
something like that, right?
Yeah.
So what is it? What kind of technology are you using? Right? Like, is there any? You probably have estimates software, or what kind of software are you guys utilizing?
Yeah, I mean, you have all kinds of bidding software. It's mostly for heavy insurance work and different things like that. That's what's kind of nice, is we break that stuff out if we need to, or for heavier bids and everything. But kind of the advantage of dealing with the everyday local people is, since every job is custom, they understand at a certain point, what you're talking about,
And what do you do to, make yourself more prepared? Or what do you do to continue yourself and your education?
I continue my education by going ahead and trying to be up on trends. You want to see what's new out there in the market, see if it's going to fail on you, because if a product's going to fail and you plan on being in an industry or doing something specific for any lengthy period of time, you need to weigh the risk and reward of going ahead and taking on that product. Is it worth it? Do I have to shorten warranties? Do I have to do this or that? And we try to go with anything that's lifetime warranty from the factory, so we know that it's made to last in Hawaii. Other than that, just keeping up is making sure that I'm balanced in my life, and not only that I work hard enough, but that I get a little play. I mean, I'm the only family member that's in the younger generation that's actually beat my father at a game of golf, and he shoots around scratch. But he had his worst game, and I had my best day.
So it happened.
Oh, yeah, I got lucky. It only ever happened once.
But and then you can mention it for as many times you want, right?
Oh, I know. You should see around his friends. His friends couldn't believe it. He golfs over at Olamana with a club called the Pitbulls. And so some of them are businessmen. A lot of them are men of note, too, HPD and firemen. And a lot of these guys have run a lot of men, too,
Mm-hmm. And, like, when people like... people need to find you. And I understand there is a Coconut Wireless. It's all over. Referrals, existing clients, previous clients. They're sending, who they know. But you need to stay on top of it with the other stuff. Like you mentioned earlier, you get a little bit of education on PR and stuff. And what do you guys do for marketing?
Oh, for marketing, our best marketing is when we do a job. I mean, when you put our work next to, I believe, anybody else's, you will notice a big difference. And so when the families, literally, this is the great thing about doing homes, is when the friends or anybody comes over to visit and have dinner, if they're really happy with the work that you do, they're going to notice. And it's surprising how many people call just from that. And so word of mouth is our strongest facet for gaining new business in that way.
Do you do anything to cultivate it?
Oh, we do advertise in the paper. I mean, we're in the renovation section. We go ahead and we do spend a little bit of money for internet. But what I've been taught is if you take care of your customers, the referrals will come in, and you actually don't have to spend as much on advertising, which goes into your margin on cost of the overall project, because it's the full business cost, just like you have insurance and medical and all these different things.
Right. So more you're spending in the background, less. It's a better deal that you can offer to your clients.
Oh, yeah. Even taxes. And my dad always has a saying, if you're not paying your taxes, you're not really in business, And
you need to pay a fair share of it.
Oh, yeah. And that's just the way that it is. You got to keep everything on the up and up.
Okay. So, it's bringing back to community and giving back to community. You mentioned a little bit earlier about it. And tell me a little bit about that. And also tell me about your industry engagements.
Well, I can tell you giving back to Hawaii is something that my dad's done consistently over the years. I mean, one of the biggest things that not a lot of people know that he's done is he was a soccer coach. And just even donating your time like that, even though he coached me, he went ahead and took on another team with none of his family on it because he was asked to for club soccer, the Volcanoes. I believe that club no longer exists. It might... Some
offshoots.
But the important thing is the impact that you have on these kids, and a lot of them actually ended up going to private school and getting scholarships for soccer to schools like Punahou and Iolani, and it really helps, in college applications. Some of them went on to play college football or water polo or these different things like that. And so, when you have that kind of impact and you can make that kind of difference, not only to teach young minds to go ahead and work with people, they transfer that later on down in the line. The demeanor of winning and doing something good, but not rubbing it in people's face and realizing that it's not just about this game. You have to go back and practice again. And I like to say with yoga in particular, there is, if you have no discipline with your practice, then there is no intention to it. And so you have to realize that.
Are you participating in any industry events, or do you participate in an industry just in general?
I mean, they have like the BIA Home Show and Remodel It Right and all these different things. But the bottom line is there's always a bottom line. There is a cost to be in there. And we do participate in those things. We probably don't participate in them all because we don't feel that we need it as it is. We're really backed up, and we're fortunate enough to have quite a bit of business.
What do you think about your industry at this current moment?
I think it's going through a lot of changes because I believe that there's different standards for quality of work. We're seeing this in global markets, I think, with a race to the bottom. What can a factory produce at a lower number? And you have a lot of industries that come in that will take advantage of purely just tax laws. And that's the difference between a small business that's been around in Hawaii for that long, is we're here for the longevity. My kids I plan on raising here. And people take comfort because you see a lot of ins and outs or fluctuation of people coming in and out of Hawaii.
Right. Sometimes they come in and they low bid everybody, but they just like fly by night kind of deal. And
Hawaii is notorious for it. And I mean, it's just because of cost. The cost of everything here is a little bit more just because we're so darn far away from the West Coast.
Yes, we are. Okay, let's take our last break for today. Tropical Wholesale, Michael Houar, and as our guest, General Manager, Third Generation Business. You can find him online at tropicalwholesaleonline.com or twoahu.com. Stay tuned. My name is Marko Miushkovic. We'll be right back.
Now in the street there is violence and
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
Traffic is still light and moving fine from Windward, Oahu, and from the east side. It's slow on the west side from the Kualaka'i Parkway exit to the Waimalu Pearl Ridge on-ramp. If you're heading in from Kapolei on Farrington, expect it to be slow from Kualaka'i Parkway to Old Fort Weaver Road. Fort Weaver looks good this morning from Eva Beach up to the freeway on-ramp. We have no accidents from East Oahu or on the Palilike or the H3.
Achieving personal financial success can be complicated. Marco Muscovich can make it simpler. That's something very good to know in a world where the wrong financial decisions can be all too costly. Marco Muscovich, Vice President of Wealth Strategy Partners, has been helping people in Hawaii successfully organize and plan their finances for years. Marco uses an holistic approach to help you balance your current financial obligations as well as your future concerns. And he does this while keeping things simple. Organizing your finances is serious business, but it doesn't have to be complicated. Find out how Marco can help you make smart, informed decisions about your financial future. Call him and schedule your complimentary session and tell him your story. He's there to listen. The toll-free number to call is 877-695-2102. That's 877-695-2102. 877-695-2102. Marco Muscovich.
We all want to retire someday, but how will you afford it? Marco Muscovich here, financial advisor for Wealth Strategy Partners. Times are tough, but nothing brings comfort and security like having a financial strategy. Some financial strategies can be complicated, all those numbers and percentage points. It makes your head spin, but that's why I created an easier to understand system called Retirement Income Timeline. Let me analyze your situation using my retirement income timeline, and I'll show you how you may be able to turn your money worries of today into a stress-free retirement of tomorrow. It's easy. Just call me and I'll assist you. Get your personal retirement income timeline by me, Marco Muscovich, today. Call 695-2102, 695-2102.
Registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, abbreviated PAS, 7 Hanover Square, New York, New York, 10004. Securities products or services and advisory services are offered through PAS, a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor. 888-600-4667. PAS is a member FINRA SIPC.
You're listening to Hawaii Money Resource with financial advisor Marco Muscovich. If you'd like to speak to Marco, either on the air or after the show, call toll-free from Oahu and the Outer Islands, 877-695-2102. That's 877-695-2102.
Welcome back. You're listening to Hawaii Money Resource. Today's guest is Michael Houar. Michael is a general manager or third generation of the business. In the business, Tropical Wholesale, tropicalwholesaleonline.com or twoahu.com. Mike, I appreciate you sharing your story. Great story. I mean, third generation is impressive. Hopefully, there's going to be more generation coming, but the pressure is going to be on you. Let me ask you, on the end of the show, like we ask, like 3 questions. First question is, your vision. What is your vision for the future of Tropical Wholesale?
Well, my vision is I think we finally established back a showroom or a home that we're really going to be happy with. That address, 1351 South Baratania Street, is a very visible location. It's right across the street from Wong's Drapery. And getting that complete... That
is like where the house burned down. No. That is...
There's the gold guy. He has the old car there on the left that he's been there forever.
Okay.
And right there, they have the Chevron at the corner. It's Keamoku and Baratania, and we're just a few over from the corner. And so that's going to be home, getting that thing up and running and going ahead and really going after different markets. We're making that step. My dad had to realize that I was a viable option in order to invest because there is risk and reward, You have to earn, respect in that way.
Perfect. Second question that I usually ask, just 10, 15 seconds. And it's okay to say you don't have it right now, but what will be your exit strategy out of this business?
I don't think I'll have one. I mean, I might expand it in different ways, but I'm really quite comfortable with where I'm at, and I wouldn't want somebody to say that I wasn't around when I said I would be.
Last question, if someone want to get into the business, regardless of the industry or business, from your experience, what will be the word of wisdom?
The word of wisdom.
20 seconds.
The word of wisdom is to go ahead and work hard. Any industry you want to get into, know about it, research it, and then most of all, don't come light. It takes quite a bit of an investment, especially with a business like construction. You just have a lot of overhead and insurances and different things like that you need to make sure you take care of.
Just get ready as much as you can, and don't think it's going to be easy.
Exactly.
Perfect. Michael Houar, General Manager for Tropical Wholesale. Mike, thank you so much for being a guest at Hawaii Money Resource.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Perfect. You can find Tropical Wholesale online, tropicalwholesaleonline.com or twoahu.com. My name is Marko Miushkovic. Today was another great show. If you miss any segments, please go online. A podcast will be available shortly. Other than that, stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Dancing in the sand.
The Living Balance Sheet and the Living Balance Sheet logo are registered service marks of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, New York, New York. The graphics and text used herein are the exclusive property of Guardian and protected under U.S. and international copyright laws. Copyright 2005 to 2011. The Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. This show is for informational purposes only. Individual risk tolerance and investment objectives must be reviewed prior to making any specific recommendations. Marko Miushkovic is a registered representative and financial advisor for Park Avenue Securities, LLC, 7 Hanover Square, New York, New York, 10004. Securities products, services, and advisory services are offered through Park Avenue Securities, a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor. 888-600-4667. Financial representative, the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, New York, New York. Park Avenue Securities is an indirect, wholly owned subsidiary of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Wealth Strategy Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America. Park Avenue Securities is a member FINRA SIPC.